Welcome to today's 5-minute professional learning bite presented by CAPITALISE Education. In our latest video looking at how we can combine LEGO and the Universal Design for Learning framework to support students on the autism spectrum, we're going to examine how we can use LEGO to foster collaboration and community in our classroom. Students on the autism spectrum are very diverse and have a range of different characteristics and functional impacts. As the saying goes, once you have met one child on the autism spectrum, you have met one child on the autism spectrum. In this series of videos, we're going to focus on a hypothetical student who has a restricted interest in LEGO. In this specific video, we're going to focus on a student who also has challenges with social interaction. Beth Saggers from the Queensland University of Technology states that every person on the autism spectrum is unique and their needs will be reflected differently. For this reason, it's really important for teachers to be able to discern the characteristics of their students on the autism spectrum and the functional impact of those characteristics. For our hypothetical student on the autism spectrum, they have a restricted interest in LEGO. The functional impact is that the student doesn't want to engage with the Australian curriculum. He only wants to talk about LEGO all day at school. For our hypothetical student, another characteristic is that the student has difficulties with social interaction. The functional impact is that during collaborative work within the classroom, the student does not want to contribute, often appears to not understand what to do in the group, and eventually walks off from the group because he doesn't understand what is going on. So what can we do to support this student in the classroom? I love this quote. No tool is omnicompetent. There is no such thing as a master key that will unlock all doors. Rather than wielding a single tool, journalists have managed to collect and protect an entire tool shed, and they show the power of range in a hyper-specialized world. For this reason, classroom teachers really need a range of tools in their tool shed. This is what I like about the Universal Design for Learning framework. It provides classroom teachers with a range of tools. Whilst we look at our hypothetical student who has a restricted interest in LEGO and challenges with social interaction, we can look at the Universal Design for Learning framework and how we can support this student. So, what would this look like in the classroom? So for our hypothetical student who has a restricted interest in LEGO, who doesn't want to engage with the Australian curriculum at school but only wants to talk about LEGO, we could look at the Universal Design for Learning framework checkpoints and identify that we could use checkpoint 7.2, optimize relevance, value, and authenticity for our students. For our hypothetical student, they also have difficulties with social interaction. So during collaborative work within the classroom, they don't contribute. They often appear not to understand what is going on in the group and eventually walk off because they are frustrated. To support our student with these challenges and this functional impact, we could look at the Universal Design for Learning frameworks and identify checkpoint 8.3, foster collaboration and community. Before we can start thinking about what this will actually look like in our classroom, we need to contextualize it within the approved curriculum, which is the Australian curriculum. Because our student has challenges with social interaction, which make group work difficult, we could go and look at the personal and social capabilities. One area, the personal and social capabilities that would be effective at focusing on would be the social management element of the capabilities. According to the Center for Applied Special Technology at Harvard, in the 21st century, all learners must be able to communicate and collaborate effectively within a community of learners. Now we can look at how we can combine LEGO, the Universal Design for Learning checkpoints, and the Australian curriculum to support our hypothetical student on the autism spectrum who has challenges with social interaction. Often, when collaborative group work occurs in classroom, it's not very structured. For a student on the autism spectrum who struggles with social interaction, this presents a challenge because they might not understand what is actually happening in the classroom. For this reason, we could use LEGO microfigures to reflect group roles within a class and ensure that our group work is structured. For students on the autism spectrum, structure, consistency, and certainty is important. For our student on the autism spectrum who has a restricted interest in LEGO and challenges with social interaction, structure is really important. As a classroom teacher, I could provide each one of my students one of the 5 LEGO figures shown in the previous slides. Each LEGO figure equates to a specific role within a collaborative group. I would then explicitly teach the entire class what each LEGO figure represents and the roles that that person would do in a collaborative group. But then for a specific period of time, a week, 2 weeks, or a month, that specific student with that specific LEGO figure would engage in a collaborative group in that specific role. Once each student is effectively working within the group, within their specific role, I would then look at changing that role for that person by swapping the LEGO microfigures. During the collaborative work, the students could also hold the LEGO figure and fiddle with it as a way of keeping calm during collaborative social interaction. When using LEGO figures to represent specific roles within a collaborative group for our student on the autism spectrum, it is important for us to plan to swap those Lego figures with our student. Our student, after an assigned period of time, once they have been successful in that role, needs to be given a new Lego figure, which is a new role within a collaborative group. This is because as educators, we need to support our student to develop independence. We can support them to develop independence by becoming successful at each of the roles within a collaborative group. So next time they work within a collaborative group, they can be assigned a specific role and they know how to complete that role. As Johns and Cooper states, while people's individual needs will differ, the starting presumption should be one of independence for students on the autism spectrum, rather than dependence, with educators providing this. In today's video, we've looked at how we can use Lego and the Universal Design for Learning framework to support students on the autism spectrum. At CAPITALISE Education, we believe that teachers working collaboratively achieve a lot more than those teachers working independently or in isolation. As the African proverb goes, if you want to go quickly,